Hey there, I think we're on. Happy Friday, everyone. It's Sam here with another quick-ish writing tip, writing video for all of you out there, readers, writers of any kind, editors, or just anyone who's interested in any of the above. Today's topic is grammar, specifically how important is good grammar in your writing? What struggles do you have with good grammar? What do you use to help with grammar? Any of that? Um, I'll talk about those things briefly. I'd love to hear your ideas because we all have, if you're a writer, if you're an English student or anything like that, we all have our preferences and our pet peeves. So tell me, what are your grammar pet peeves? What's difficult for you about grammar, if anything, or maybe you're just awesome and it's not difficult for you. Um, what are your struggles? What do you use to help with grammar in your writing? Any of that? I'd like to hear what you have to say, and I'll tell you about mine a little bit too. So first, let me get my qualifications. In addition to this awesome T-shirt that makes a grammar pun, um, if you didn't know already, grammar is kind of the thing I do professionally, at least part of it. I do have 2 degrees in English. I have tutored and taught English professionally before in a number of different formats for several years. And now I'm working for a nonprofit as a content writer editor. So even when I'm not working at creative writing, I spend a lot of my time at work, editing written content and things like that. And obviously, there's more to it than just grammar. There's more than just commas and periods and such. But a lot of it goes into that. I mean, there's more to good writing than that, but that is part of it. And if I may say so, I'm pretty good at it. I know we don't like to admit when we're good at things, which is a weird, different topic. But again, I have experience, I have degrees, I do this professionally. I can say grammar is one area where I kind of excel. So I have that going for me, which is nice. Helps in creative writing too. And I bring up this topic now because a week or two ago, a friend of mine sent me a story. It was a very short story, only a page or two. But he wanted me to review it and give him some feedback and such like that. And he asked for help with the grammar because he said he wasn't, grammar wasn't his strong suit and things like that. And I did. I read it and reviewed it, and it was fine. Right here, I'm not commenting on literary quality. I'm just commenting on grammar and such. It was not bad. Trust me, as a tutor, as a former tutor and teacher, I've seen some pretty bad stuff. This wasn't bad. I might have had a few nitpicks about commas and punctuation and things like that here and there, but overall, it wasn't bad. But I also had to kind of give myself a caveat when I commented on grammar things because I was like, well, it is creative fiction. It's different from academic writing. It's different from even professional prose, that kind of thing. Is creative writing allowed to break the rules? That's a good question. Does creative writing have to follow strict grammar rules? So I'm kind of going to talk about that today. So obviously, if you're in academic writing, if you're in business writing, your standards might be a little bit different. Academic, of course, is very formal. And even where I work now, it's not academic, but it's still professional. So we still have, like our own style guide and our own consistent voice we try to use. And some of the rules are a little more lax than what I learned in school, but we still have rules for sure. But creative fiction, there's not really one rule book for it per se. It's like, grammar isn't the point. It's not trying to be, an academic treatise or anything. So what's the point of working with grammar in creative fiction? Have you ever struggled with that before or asked that question? If you have, here's my answer. Well, 2-part answer. First thing is you have to be clear. You want your message and your content, of course, to be clear to the reader, and grammar is part of that. Doing grammar well is part of that. The other part is you got to know the rules before you can break them. I'm obviously not the first person to say that, and I'll come back to that. I'll circle back to that in a little bit. But be clear. So your grammar should be good enough to be clear, and 2, know the rules before you can break them. And I'll expound on both of those. Clarity is important, obviously. In creative fiction, you still want your meaning to come across and your intended meaning to come across and all that in each passage. Obviously, in other types of writing too. In fact, most types of writing. I don't think there's many types of writing in which you don't want your meaning to come across clearly. There are many types of reading in which meaning does come across unclearly, but usually you don't want that. So, but here we're talking about creative fiction. Obviously, you're still writing something to an audience. So I mean, I would say, don't worry about like all the strict grammar rules. I mean, again, creative fiction there's not as many rules. If people understand you generally, if they understand what you're saying, you're probably good. You know, you don't worry about the rules of academic prose. I mean, you can start a sentence with a conjunction. You can have a sentence fragment when it works. You can end sentences with prepositions and use passive voice and split all the infinitives you want to. I mean, don't in general, unless it's excessive, don't worry about that stuff when writing creative fiction. But I'd say the problem is if or when it becomes unclear to the reader, then grammar, then poor grammar can distract, and you'll want good grammar to help clear it up. They often say, or at least when I was in academia and we were grading papers and things like that, some of the rubrics would say things like errors or grammar distracts from clarity, like as a measurement of this one got a B or a C or a D, because your grammar distracted from clarity. If your reader isn't distracted, great. If they are, you may have a problem. One thing that's been said of editors too, me being an editor, is when we do our job well, we're invisible, and when we don't do it well, people notice. So basically, if your grammar is making people notice, then it might be a little distracting. If it's not, if nobody notices the grammar, if nobody notices your style or thinks about that, then you're good, probably. If people are noticing or asking questions or being like, huh, you may have some trouble. Now I know, okay, so let's say if our standard was like grammar, if your grammar doesn't distract, you're okay. I mean, there may be more to it than that, but we'll go with that for right at this moment. That's still kind of a different barrier for different people or different audiences, maybe. I mean, okay, I know again, I have experience in grammar. This is kind of my thing. And when I put on my editing hat or my editing brain, I get hyper focused. So like anything will stick out to me, like the smallest comma or period. I'm like, aha! So like that will distract me when I'm, sometimes when I'm reading, when I'm editing, or even when I'm reading and not trying to edit. Sometimes I notice those things. Most readers are not like that, unless you're writing to a group of professional editors. Most of your audience will not be like that. So I would say most of them won't be distracted by little things. Most of them will let it slide or not even notice or just carry on with the story, as long as your grammar is, not atrocious. But if people are asking questions or are not sure what something means, not sure where you're going for, could be a good idea to brush up on grammar. A good way to test this is give your written to someone else. Give what you've written to someone else, even if they're not a professional editor. There is someone else who is not, in your head, who's not you. Everything we write always seems clear to us because we know what we're trying to say. But when someone else reads it and they don't know what's in your brain, what you're trying to say, if they don't find it as clear as you do, then you may have some issues. I mean, some of it that's just a difference of opinion. There may or may not be issues. You may have to hash things out and just see what's clearer to everyone. But we do a lot of that back and forth in the editing world. Like I'll write something or I'll put something together and someone else will say this isn't clear to me, or vice versa. We do a lot of that because it's good to have a different perspective, a different set of eyes. So if someone else isn't getting what you're reading, you may need to brush up on your grammar, or it may not be grammar. It may be unclear for a number of reasons, or just wordiness or something like that. But grammar could be part of it. Second thing I said, know the rules before you can break them. Obviously, again, I'm not the first one to have said that, but what does that mean? It means you still need some structure in your writing. Language has grammar and language has structure for a reason. And if you're going to vary and deviate from that structure, you can, at least in creative fiction and such like that. You can, obviously. But you have to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Don't just do it willy-nilly because you forgot or because you don't understand grammar. That's not going to fly. If you do break from the structure, you have to understand what you're doing and why. Okay? An example could be if you're running a quick, fast-paced scene where you want intense action and you want the reader to be right in the moment. You don't want a lot of long, drawn-out sentences in that case. Not the kind of like I usually write. I'm a wordy guy. We English majors tend to be very wordy in our writing. You don't want a lot of long, sentences, big words. I'm repeating myself now. You can see how wordy I am. Um, in that case, for a quick action for the reader to be immediately in it, you probably want more like short sentences, even sentences that in other contexts could be called choppy. Sentence fragments are probably okay here, and which again, in academic writing or professional writing, they would tell you don't use sentence fragments, but here you probably can, as long as you understand what you're doing and why. I mean, it's not just because you don't understand what a sentence is; it's because you want to create a certain effect with your writing, and you're doing it intentionally. A good example of that, first or most obvious one that comes to my mind is Cormac McCarthy. I've only read one of his books so far. I read No Country for Old Men a year or two ago. The Road has been on my list for a long time, and maybe I'll get to it this year, but I haven't read it yet. And his writing style is definitely, some would call it an acquired taste. It's definitely not for everyone out there. I liked it, the one book I read. I mean, it's different. It's very minimalistic. It's he doesn't use a lot of conventions, a lot of fancy punctuation. He doesn't even use quotation marks or on dialogue. It's just kind of like I guess you could almost say it's like a movie script, or it's almost like just us speaking. When you're talking to someone else in your head, you don't say like he said in your head. You just say a thing that you say. So I think he wants the reader to be immediately in the action, kind of like that. And so he doesn't deal with the frills, no quotation marks, no speaker tags or anything, not a lot of excess description, because he just wants you to feel like you're right there. I'm sure there's some sentence fragments in there too. I haven't looked back at it in a while, but I'm sure there are. I'm sure he breaks some of the other conventions of normal grammar, doesn't use a lot of punctuation, that kind of thing. But is it because he forgot? Is it because he just didn't understand what sentence fragment was and put a lot of them in there by mistake? Is it because he didn't know the rules of grammar? No. He's doing this intentionally to create a style that works for him, that conveys what he wants to convey. And I would say, if you become a best-selling author and you're as big as Cormac McCarthy, then you can do that too. But I mean, even when you're starting out, the point is, you can break the rules. You can, or at least bend them, depending on what works for you. You can go out of formal grammar when you need to, but you got to understand why and the effect you're creating and the reason you're doing it. Okay, so all that to answer the question: how important is grammar in your stories in creative fiction? Kind of important. I mean, not all important. I would say not more important than things. Hey, I think it's live again. Sorry, I got cut off there. If you're just joining us, I had a live video going a few minutes earlier, and it got cut off in the middle. I don't know if it's my internet or what. So you can, if you didn't see it already, you can scroll down my page and find that one. It's about 12 minutes long, and it cuts out at the end because either internet or something like that happened. I was still talking for a few minutes because I wasn't sure if it was still recording or not. It said still had a live thing on my screen, but I guess it wasn't recording. So there you go. Whatever I'd said in that few minutes is lost forever now. Hope it wasn't too important. This is the issue we're dealing with. I mean, just technology these days. This is the price of technology, and of me being, starting out and probably not having the best technology or the most experience with it. For a millennial, I'm a little behind the times on technology, but I'll get there maybe. Anyway, I was almost done-ish with talking about grammar. I established my two principles in that last video for how important grammar is in your writing. First principle is, no, I've forgotten. Be clear, make sure it's clear. Second one is know the rules before you can break them. So we talked about that and talked about some examples of knowing the rules before you can break them. But what if you're someone who says, I don't know the rules, or it's been so long since I've been in school, I don't remember, or that was never my strong area to begin with. What if you need to brush up on the rules? There are lots of resources for doing that. I definitely encourage you, brush up on the rules, familiarize yourself with at least basic grammar rules and parts of speech and things like that, and parts of a sentence and parts of a paragraph if you didn't know already. The basic rules, I mean, I know there's a lot out there. Make sure you know those. And if you're still not getting it, if that's not your thing, if you never were good at it, whatever, there's lots of resources that can help you. Obviously today in the internet age especially, there's also some books, and I'll recommend a couple right here. I did this a few minutes ago, but again, the video was out, nobody was watching. So here's one I read recently. This is Grammar Girls Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing by Minion Fogarty. Minion Fogarty, I hope I'm saying her name right, because she's out there on the internet somewhere. If I'm not, sorry. She's a grammar girl. She has content. She's on social media, or at least I don't know if I've seen her like in recent months or years, but at least at one time she was on social media. Maybe she still is doing stuff. Essentially, has a podcast here. I haven't listened to it. Sorry, but I read her book. So Grammar Girls Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing. I recommend this one. I read it last year. It's just it's got like it goes over the basic parts of speech, basic parts of sentence, things like that. Also commonly seen errors and just kind of her recommendation based on different style guides for how to handle each thing. So very accessible, very easy to use and easy to read. It was a good quick little resource that I've come back to a time or two since then, and it has funny drawings in it because it's fun and accessible. So there you go. Other one, we're going through this one at my work. My team of writers, we're reading a chapter at a time and talking about it together. This is Style, The Basics of Grace and Clarity by Joseph M. Williams and Joseph Bizep. Hope I'm saying their names right too. I think there is a longer version of this book. I saw like both when I was on Amazon. I'm not quite sure what the difference is, but this is the shorter version. But Style by Williams and Bizep. And this isn't completely about grammar. I mean, partially yes, but it's also just about clear writing. I mean, the topics are interrelated, but it talks about how to write sentences so they're clear, so the emphasis is in the right place, so all the parts of the sentence are in the most natural, logical order, and therefore your writing will be much clearer. So it gets into grammar somewhat. It gets into example sentences and why one is more clear than the other or less clear than the other. It's been a helpful resource so far. There's lots of sites you can find for quick grammar exercises that will give you explanations of why things are right or wrong in grammar. I'll throw out one more. It's called chompchomp.com. Yes, chomp, as in like you chomp something when you're eating it. I don't know. CHOMP, chompchomp.com. We used this when I was teaching or teaching assistant in grad school, and it has like grammar exercises, but with like fun little quizzes, but like virtual prizes or consequences. Like if you get it right, you get this nice virtual hamburger, but if you get it wrong, you get eaten by a shark. I guess that's why it's called chompchomp.com. So it's fun, silly stuff like that. I've used it with students before, but it does teach grammar. It does give you sentences, and if you get it right or wrong, gives you an explanation of the issue. So that's one you can use. I know there are also apps for grammar. People use those. I haven't really used one because again, I'm a little technologically illiterate. I'm behind the times a little bit. Remember, I'm the guy who got a smartphone just 6 months ago, even though I'm almost 31. So there's that, and it's 2021, but never mind that. But also, I didn't really get an app for grammar because I got a master's degree in English instead. Sorry, tooting my own horn again. My point is, this is the area I studied. This is the area I do professionally. I haven't really felt the need for an app for it. But if you're coming from a different background, if it isn't your strength, if you just need the extra help, the extra checking, I know there are apps out there that people get that can help you. Sorry, I was going through with that. Or just so apps, resources, websites, books, or just if you're in the writing world already, then you probably know some other writers or some other editors or people who do those kinds of things. Hopefully, I mean, I've been doing this unprofessionally for a while, but I have friends I have a number of friends who are interested in writing and editing and things like that, and I hope some of them are watching these videos I make or have been commenting lately. So I mean, give it to someone else. Have someone else look at it. A lot of people will do it for free. I mean, maybe not formal editing, but just read this, see how it sounds. Like can you tell if I'm being clear or not? Again, always have a second set of eyes. Even if the person isn't a professional editor or whatever, they can just tell you, how your writing comes across to them, whether you're being clear or not, which parts do or don't make sense, that kind of thing. So, tip for today: be clear in your writing. Use good grammar. Know the rules before you can break them. And if you don't know the rules, go brush up on them with one of many, many available resources to you. That's my recommendation for writing clear and good creative fiction. Okay, I wasn't going to say too long. Sorry, the videos got broken up. It's throwing me a little bit, but I'll maybe combine them later. I don't know if I can do that. I want to give a few quick updates about things coming up. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. One, okay, let's see. I mentioned podcasts earlier, or that one of our podcast. Since I have these live videos I'm doing every week, I'm thinking about / a little bit looking into trying to turn them into a podcast. I think I was resistant to that trend at first because it seems like everyone and their brother has a podcast these days, and there's so many of them out there, and it's kind of a trend I was resisting. I guess I'm a trend resistor too. I don't know. But I'm kind of doing it anyway. I'm doing live discussions at least once a week, or they're not all discussions, but live content, video content at least once a week. And I didn't always think audio was my best. Sorry if it's not. It's not. I am a written word guy, obviously, but I'm delving into audio too, for better or for worse. And excuse me. So I was kind of like, well, if I'm doing that already, why not make a podcast? So no promises. It's nothing official yet. But I've begun to look into like downloading the videos and turning them into audio files and things like that I could repurpose in a later form later. So I know many people consume content that way. Many people enjoy the audio, especially while they're on the go. Had a video some months ago, you can scroll down and find it, about print books versus audiobooks and the audiobook trend. Many people are into that kind of thing. So if that's you and you're into that and you like it, stay tuned. Hopefully more announcements about that coming. Again, no promises because I'm a little behind the times on technology, but I think it wouldn't be that hard to do. I have friends who start a podcast. They can always ask someone. Anyway, that's an idea I have coming. Secondly, I might be talking about books I'm reading one of these days. And I know we did a post about books before, but I just thought, I'm reading like one fiction book a month. I'd love to read more, but I have a baby and a job and all kinds of stuff. So I'm reading about one fiction and one nonfiction book a month. I'd love to talk about these one day with some of you. So next week, the 21st, I don't have anything big planned. I may talk about the books I'm reading and just do mini book reviews too. I should have led with that. I know I'm rambling, but mini book reviews is the point. More content about writing, but one thing to do to be a writer is to be a great reader. So look at other people who have they've done it before, take information or take, I guess, tips and pointers from them, and see how that's going. So I'm reading a book now. I'll tell you about it next week. That's the plan, at least, unless they have any big revelation of some other better video to do next week. But yeah, I want to do mini book reviews, maybe once a month. I'm not sure yet. Tell you about those. Hear about what you're reading too, because hopefully you are reading things. Speaking of reading things, third, this is the big announcement. 2 weeks from today, May 28th. Okay, so this is Friday the 14th, May 28th. This time, I'm having another author discussion. The author is John Jackson Miller. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He's written several Star Wars books and Star Trek books, comics for Star Wars and Marvel and all kinds of places. So he's a writer for some of the big franchises. So even if you're not familiar with his work or with these franchises, really, you've never read a Star Wars book, he is someone who's making a successful career of writing fun fiction, like many of us want to do. I was able to connect with him on social media, which I thought was great, and I'm still excited about that. I'm going to be talking to him here 2 weeks from today, Friday the 28th. So be there. I'm excited to talk to him and hear some of his advice and hear how he's broken into the world of writing, not only writing, but writing for some of these big companies and everything like that. So yeah, come listen, come prepared with questions. There is an event on my page, my author page, Samuel N. Harris, not Samuel Nathan Harris, Samuel N. Harris. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see an event with this picture on it, the book Kenobi by John Jackson Miller. The event is the live author discussion with John Jackson Miller. So join that event so you'll get updated and you'll remember when it comes. And I'm excited. Hope to see you there. Hope the Force is with you in the meantime. And I feel like I was going to say something else and I completely forgot. Sorry. I should start scripting these, really, because I do better with, again, writing in front of me. I do sometimes. I didn't today. Sorry, I'm very improv, very transparent, I guess. I was just going to say, If you like these videos, if you're benefiting at all from the writing tips, the author discussions, or any of this, I hope you are. Hope it's bringing some value to you. Sign up for the mailing list. There's a link in the comments or on my author page too. The link that has the words shipper maker in it and some numbers after that, shipper maker, and some numbers after that. Sign up for that link. You'll get a free sample of Fractured Heroes, my story, free sample on PDF. You'll also get email updates where I do videos like this and author interviews and things like that. So sign up there. You don't want to miss what's coming. And yeah, I see we just had someone join the live chat. Sorry, it's almost over. The video broke kind of in between, so there's actually 2 videos now. You can go back down, scroll back down on my page and find the previous 1 and 2 and watch them both about grammar and how important it is to writing. But I'm going to sign off today. Keep these tips in mind. Write well and keep reading well. And may the force be with you. And enjoy your Friday. I'll see you soon. Thanks. Goodbye.